Welcome to the Wrestling with Success podcast. In this show, you'll learn how to use lessons used in sports so you can use failure as your secret weapon for success and succeed in the real world. Here's your host, former Division I All-American wrestler, former Division I head coach, husband, father, adventure seeker, and entrepreneur, Jim Harshaw.
Welcome to episode 50. Can't believe it. Episode 50. I think this is the silver episode. Today, I bring you a very special guest, Russell Brunson. You're here because you want to learn. You want to make the most of your time working out or driving or whatever else it is you're doing right now. And I'm like you. I learn a ton from listening to great shows, but I don't always remember everything that I learned. Sometimes I don't even get a chance to listen all the way through the episode, so it's almost like I'm wasting my time because I'm not putting this stuff into action. As a listener of Wrestling with Success, you don't have to worry about that because I create an action plan for you for every single episode, including this one. So you can maximize your time and use the actionable, practical advice to help you get clear and stay focused on exactly what you need to do to achieve the life you want to live. Just go to JimHarshawJr.com/action to get instant access to the action plan from today's guest and every other guest who's been on Wrestling with Success. That's JimHarshawJr.com/action. Russell started his first online company while he was wrestling at Boise State University, and within a year of graduating, he had sold over $1 million worth of his own products and services from his basement. For over 12 years now, Russell's been starting and scaling companies online. He owns a software company, a supplement company, a coaching company, and he is one of the top super affiliates in the world. .com Secrets was created to help entrepreneurs around the world start, promote, and grow their companies online. Russell, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing awesome, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited you're here. I've been following you for ages, just your stuff online, and love what you do. I'm actually in the middle of reading .com Secrets right now, the book. It's awesome. Cool. It's like the page turner for guys like me. So this is it's cool. So tell us how you got your start in wrestling, Russell.
Yeah. So I actually started and I quit when I was a little kid, and then I restarted. So kind of two starting stories. The first one, I think I was in kindergarten or really, really young. And at my elementary school, the wrestling team from the high school came in and did this little demonstration. They handed everybody a piece of paper that said, "Come join the wrestling team." And I didn't know what that was, but I brought it home. And I didn't know at the time, but my dad had wrestled all through high school and college. And he saw that paper and he just went crazy. Like, he was so excited. And so, the next day I was at wrestling practice. And I don't remember much of it. I have a couple little pictures when I was a little kid. But apparently my parents said I hated it. And after like one season, they pulled me out of it. And then we kind of forgot about it. Like, my dad was busy with his companies and all stuff. And I thought I was going to be a basketball player. Went to basketball camp, all these, all sorts of things. And then in 8th grade, one of my neighbors signed up for wrestling. And we were at church, and his dad told my dad, like, "Oh, Ryan just signed up for wrestling." And my dad's like, "What? I need to get Russell in wrestling." And my dad told me, he's like, "I'm taking your wrestling practice." I was like, "No, I'm a basketball player, Dad. Like, I'm not doing that." He's like, "You need to go." And I'm like, "I don't know. Like, that doesn't even sound like fun." But he forced me to go. And so that was 8th grade. And I remember going through, the practices, and I didn't love it, but I was like, okay, I'll make my dad happy this year, but next year I'm definitely playing basketball, but I'll just do it for my dad just because whatever. So I did it. I did it my 8th grade year, and then my 9th grade year, because I think you had to be in 10th grade to be on the basketball team. So I'm like, okay, I'll do my 9th grade year. So my 9th grade year, I was doing it, and I was at my junior high, and I would walk over to the high school after school, and I remember. They had wrestle offs the very first time, and I didn't think I was good at all. But I beat the JV kid in the wrestle off, which shocked me, which meant I was going to be JV that weekend. And I was like, I was so scared.
All of a sudden, you're the starter.
Yeah, I was so nervous. And I remember I went and I did the weigh-ins, and the kid I was wrestling, he had a mustache. And to this day, I still can't grow a mustache. But I remember looking at him and thinking, I can't believe I've got to wrestle this guy with a mustache. I was so scared. And I remember going out there on the mat and looking up in the audience. My mom and dad were probably the only two in the whole stands. And there was me on the mat with this guy with the mustache. And we started wrestling. And I remember that I beat him at the end of the match. I remember getting my hand raised and looking up in the audience and having this feeling. I was like, this is the greatest feeling I have ever felt in my whole life. And like that day is the day I became a wrestler. And I didn't care about anything else after that point because like that feeling getting my hand raised was the best thing I ever had. So that's how I kind of got into wrestling.
Yeah, getting your hand raised that first time, it hooks you, you know, and usually it's a lot more failures on the way to getting your hand raised that first time. But that first time you get your hand raised, it feels good. And you get hooked, you know, it's what keeps you coming back. Because certainly it's not the beatings that keep you coming back, right? Yeah, that happen every day, whether you win or lose in practice. You're getting beat up, you know?
Yeah.
So then you went on to, so actually, where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in Utah.
In Utah, and your dad wrestled where? He wrestled in college as well, you say?
Yeah, he grew up in California. I think he was a CIF champ in California, and then he wrestled at Brigham Young University. And that's what brought him to Utah. And then, and that's where I grew up, and I wrestled in Utah all through high school.
Yeah, and then you went on to Boise State.
Actually, in between. So so what happened? My junior year, I actually won the state title in Utah, and then my senior year, I didn't. I lost. A kid I'd beaten twice during the year. I got caught in a. Twice, actually, kind of embarrassing. Got caught twice in a like a hip lock and put my back twice, and I ended up losing by 2 points. So I took third in state my senior year, but because I'd won it my junior year, I qualified to go to the high school nationals.
Yeah. So
I went to high school nationals and actually took second there and became an All-American.
What year was that then?
That would have been 98.
98, okay.
And then I got an offer to go to Brigham Young University where my dad had wrestled. So I went there my first year. And then while I was there, they cut the wrestling program. So then I transferred to Boise State.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So did you overlap with Kirk White? Probably. I don't know if you overlapped with Kirk White or not.
Kind of. So Kurt, when I was at BYU, Kurt, there was the year that Kurt won the NCAAs. And so they came to BYU and we wrestled. And I wrestled Larry Quizzle, who ended up taking second.
Yeah.
And I lost to Larry, and then I saw Kurt beat our guy. And so anyway, and then it's funny because then the next year I was up there.
Yeah. Well, Kirk won the national championship my senior year, 99.
Okay.
And Larry Quiz, I remember watching Larry wrestle. The one year I know he took third. He lost in the first round of the Pigtails, and he came back, and I think he won 7 straight. And it was, which is just insane to do at the national championships.
What's kind of funny is so Larry lives right by me. And so I don't know if you knew this, I've got a wrestling room that we built in our new home. And so he comes over this week and we beat the crap out of each other now.
Nice. So you're still on the mats?
Oh yeah. You can't get it. Yeah. Until I can't walk, I will always be on the mats. I love it too much.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So share with us how you got from there, wrestling at Boise State, to here, what you're doing now, which I know is a big story. So fill in the gap there. Yeah.
So it was actually, I had learned, if you've been reading my book. So when I was 12 or 13 years old, I got kind of exposed a little bit to this whole world. I would watch an infomercial with this guy named Don Lepre talking about making money with tiny little classified ads. And I got this little taste of it back then. And probably for 2 years, I was ordering all this junk mail. I was reading all these direct mail sales letters on how to get rich through direct mail and do 1-900 numbers and all these things. So I learned about it back then. But then when I started wrestling, I kind of forgot about it and just that was kind of over. But my first year at Boise State, so it would have been my sophomore year. It was my redshirt sophomore year. I was redshirting that year, and then I met my wife, fell in love, and we got engaged. And after we got engaged, my dad told me, because he was kind of supporting me so I could keep wrestling. He's like, hey, just, if you get married, you're kind of on your own. I was like, what? I'm not making any money. I got my scholarship, but that doesn't cover everything. I can't eat. And he's like, yeah, when you're married, you're on your own. I was like, oh, crap. And so I was like, I got to figure out a way to make some money because I'm not quitting wrestling and I'm totally getting married. So I got to figure out some other alternate reality because those two things are happening no matter what. And so I got to figure out some other way to make money. And so I started just looking for opportunities. How can I make money? What's possible? And it was actually funny. I remember there was this little late night infomercial on talking about how they were doing a seminar at the local Holiday Inn teaching people how to get rich on the internet. I was like, sweet, I am in for that. So I went to the Holiday, called the number, went to the Holiday Inn and listened to the pitch. And what's interesting is that the stuff that they were talking about was really similar to the stuff I learned about when I was 12 about direct mail. But the reason I never did direct mail, I remember vividly as a 12-year-old then talking about you rent a list of 100,000 people, then you send out letters to those 100,000 people, and let's say you get 3% to say yes. Like you do the math, like it's a ton of money. But the problem is I couldn't afford postage back then. I was 12 years old, right? Stamps were expensive. And send out 100,000 letters with stamps, like it was not even possible. But I was sitting here in this event and the guy was talking about, and he was talking about email, and everything he said was almost identical to what I'd heard about when I was 12, but it was instead of like printing out letters and stuffing them in envelopes and putting on postage, you just sent out emails. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like I can do this. I understand. Like it's everything clicked in my head. And I remember the thing they pitched me on like a $5,000 something that I didn't have, but I bought it because I was just like so sold, you know?
Wow, you bought it there?
Oh, I totally bought it there on credit cards, which I just gotten, engaged to my wife. Anyway, she would have killed me. But I got home that night and I remember like the website hosting was like $100 a month. And I got home that night and I was looking on, doing some research on Google and I found out hosting is like $5 a month. And I was like, I think I got scammed. So I called the next day and refunded the whole thing. But then like I had this bug in my head where I was like, okay, I know I got to create a product. I need to set up a website. I got to get people to buy it. I got to build an email list. And that began my whole journey. And that was about 12 years ago now. About 12 years ago. And, honestly, the first, year and a half, 2 years, there wasn't much traction. Every once in a while I'd sell something on eBay and that was about all that would happen. But I started learning like what was working and what other people were doing. I was watching really close, like the people that were successful. And I saw that most of them had these really weird, long sales letters. And I was so confused because it looked weird, but they had these long sales letters and then they were buying ads and driving traffic. And I just kept seeing this same process happening with dozens of different people selling all sorts of different things. And I'm not that good at business. I wasn't that good at any of those kind of things, but I'm smart enough to look at patterns and see like, wow, all these people making money are doing the same things. There's an ad, you click on it, it goes to a page, has a long letter that you read something, then you click on a button and you buy. I'm like, I just got to do something kind of like that. And one of the first ones I ever did it with was a product called How to Make a Potato Gun. And
yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, I was kind of learning this stuff when I was in college, and I had a buddy who, him and I had built potato guns during spring break one weekend, and I was like, I wonder if I could do this selling a DVD on how to make potato guns. And I did a little market research with my limited knowledge and skills back then, and found out there were about 18,000 people a month searching for potato guns, and there was nobody selling anything about that. And I was like, there's an opportunity. Like, I don't know how much I can make on it, but there's something there. And so I wrote my first long form sales letter. I tried to model the way that other people did it. And we recorded a DVD of us making a potato gun, and we started selling it. And that's kind of how it began. And that worked. It never made me millions, but it was making me $20, $30 a day at its peak, which as a college kid is insane. Like that's so much money. Yeah. And so that's kind of how it started. And then I tried different little ideas, and I would just try different things, and each one got a little bit bigger and a little bit better. And, we fast forward now 10 years, and, we've got a couple big companies that, I never in a million years would dream this was possible, but it's where we're at now. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, man, what a ride. And I've heard that story before, and, reading it in the book and just kind of following you over the years. And it's just such an incredible story. And I love the fact that you started selling information products on potato guns, online. And I built potato guns in college and never thought about turning that into a business, but you saw opportunity, because you had an obstacle in front of you, and you had to make money, and you saw an opportunity, and you turned that obstacle into an opportunity. That's pretty cool. And so with .com Secrets, with your company, I think your tagline is something like you teaches people how to turn their passion into profits, right?
Yeah.
We all have passions, right? Can anyone do that?
I think anyone can. And I only say because I've seen so many people do it in so many weird spots. But a lot of people won't. That's the bigger thing. They may start on it because it's not, and we've been trying to make tools and scripts and things to make it easier, but there's work that goes into it. I remember my senior year at Boise State, I had a creativity class. In the creativity class, we had to create something or make something creative and present it to the class. And so I had made a membership site during that semester, and I launched it, and I think it was $30 a month or $37 a month, and I had 300 or 400 people that had joined it. And so I presented this to the class, and I think it was making, I can't remember, $5,000 or $6,000 a month. Wow. At the time. And I showed it, and my teacher was this little Indian guy named Dr. Murley, and he was all excited, jumping around afterwards. He's like, did you guys understand what he just did? he took this thing out of his head and he made this thing that's now making $5,000 or $6,000 a month. And they're like, what questions do you have for him? And the students, everyone else in my class was kind of staring blankly at me. And I remember one kid's like leaning back in his chair and he raises his hand and he's like, hey, that seems really cool and all, but it seems like a lot of work. And I remember laughing, thinking, yeah, like it was a lot of work up front. Like it was like pushing a boulder up the mountain. But now that it's done, like it's making me $5,000 or $6,000 a month without me doing anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, it seems like what your path that you're on of working, for the rest of your life, like that seems like way more work than what I'm doing. And it just made me kind of laugh. But that's definitely kind of the thought process how these things start. Like it's work up front, but after you figure it out, then it's not that bad. And I think anyone that makes it past that initial learning curve can be successful with it. Almost in almost any market. I mean, I've seen people selling the weirdest stuff successfully. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. A friend of mine, Charlie the Spaniard Brenneman, he was a UFC fighter. I think I had him on episode 3 or 4, jimharshawjr.com/4. I think is where you'll find that episode. But anyway, Charlie was telling me he's creating a course right now. Just like I have a course called Reveal Your Path. It's a 4-week program. It's a life design program. It's goal setting on steroids. And we take former athletes and help them sort of recreate the environment that they had in their life and the structure they had in their life as an athlete into the real world. And it's a lot of work. It was so much work setting up the program the first time, but I'm going through it now with my third group. And so much of the work is done.
Yeah.
The legwork's done. And Charlie was telling me the other day, he's like, man, it is so much work putting this thing together. I'm like, yeah, but once you get it together, then you tweak it, you improve it, you get feedback and you update it. But that's the grunt work up front.
Yeah. I remember Matt Fury telling me one time, I'm not sure if you know Matt or not, but he wrote a book.
Yeah. I know. I don't know if he knows me, but I know who he is. Yeah.
Yeah. He had combat conditioning. I remember he said that he spent 2 days like taking the picture, everything. And they said, as soon as those 2 days of work were done, at that point forward, he's never had to work since because just keep buying it and shipping it out. And that's all you're doing is just, and it's, think about it that way. Like, yeah, you got to front load a whole bunch of work, but man, it's worth it when it's done.
Yeah. No kidding. So, a lot of people think of internet marketing and they think of the thing what happened to you, scam. You got scammed the first time you did this, right? $5,000 and you realize, wait a second, I'm paying too much for the hosting. And what do you say to people like that? I
try to explain, like, yes, there are scams out there. They're everywhere. And but the biggest thing is understanding that the internet business is no different than any other business. I always get in these arguments with people who are like, well, that doesn't work for my business or whatever, right? But like business is just like the internet is just a channel. It's like TV or radio or whatever. It's just a really efficient, low cost way to get your message or sell your product or your service. And so when people are trying to sell you on some crazy weird scams, like, yeah, those are probably scams. But if you use the internet as a tool to sell a product or service, it's no different than saying, I have a radio based business. I drive radio ads to sell my thing, or I have a TV. Like it's media. It's a media channel.
Yeah, you can get scammed by the guys driving down your street who have a pickup truck and say they'll come in and fix your whatever your furnace or something like that. There's scams everywhere.
Yeah, if we look at it as like it's media channel, it's just something that you can really efficiently target people who actually want to buy your stuff. That's amazing. That's the magic of it, right? Like you think about. I was talking to Tony Robbins a couple years ago about his transition. And he said when he got started, there was 3 TV channels, ABC, NBC, CBS. And he's like, I was just on all 3 of those channels all the time, and everybody in the world knew who I was, and we made all this money. He's like, but then what happened is that, cable came out, and all of a sudden there was like 200 channels. He's like, I can't afford to be on all 200 channels, and it gets really, really hard. But what's cool is like there's channels just for cooking or just for fishing. So if you got a cooking product, now you can just buy ads on that one TV channel and it's really easy to be profitable, where before it'd be almost impossible because there's no targeting. And that's like what makes the internet so powerful is that I can go and only show my ads to people on Facebook who love exactly what I'm trying to sell, or people on Google who are actively today searching for what I sell. And so it just gives it's the best platform in the world because we can target things so closely, and it makes it just so much more cheap and expensive. Whereas back in the day, if you wanted to target everybody, like it's hard to be profitable. It just doesn't work. And so, yeah, I definitely like people think it's a scam. Like that's like saying TV is a scam, right? It's a channel. When you understand it that way, hopefully it makes it more sense for people.
So for the listener that is going, man, this sounds awesome, right? I want to create a product. I want to sell it. I don't want to be like Matt Fury, who created this product and did all the front end work, and now he's just selling it and making the money on it. Where, and I know this is a huge question, so give us the condensed version, but like, where do you start? And I got my suggestion. I think everybody should go to your website and buy your books, or certainly buy .com Secrets. But I mean, any thoughts on what's step one?
Yeah, so I kind of have a 3-step process I always look at when I'm trying to do something, and I share it with people as well because it, at least for me, helps so much. And so these are 3 steps. Step number 1 is you got to find a hot market. So you got to find a market where people are already buying things. It's funny, most people take that backwards. Like they go and like, oh, I wanted to sell this, but looks like there's 3 other people selling it. And that's like actually the wrong approach. Like you want people selling it. Like I want to go into markets where there's 10,000 people all selling stuff to that market because I know it's a hot market and they buy stuff and they buy a lot of things. And so the first step is to find a hot market. Find a market there's a lot of other people already selling things to. And if they're not selling things to that market, then that's actually the bad sign. Like you don't want to be the pioneer. Okay.
Right.
You want to be the person saying, wow, there's a lot of people selling weight loss stuff, a lot of people selling jiu-jitsu stuff or wrestling stuff or tennis or whatever that market is. But first step is finding a hot market that is actively buying stuff. The second thing is that then a lot of times we just assume that we know what those people want. So we start creating products based on what we think that they're going to want to buy. And that's actually backwards. Step number 2 is asking them what they want. And so like when I identify markets, like let's just say like the potato gun market, for example, it wasn't a super hot market. But it was a warm market. So we found the warm market. And then I asked them, I said, okay, I'm building a potato gun course. What are you guys looking for? And we set up a little page to just ask that question. Like, what would you guys want to know in a potato gun course? And we started driving some basic ads to it. And what was cool is all these people came to the page and they started telling me what they wanted. They're like, hey, I'm just curious, like, what's the right barrel to chamber volume ratio? And I was like, I didn't know that was a real thing. People kept asking me that. So I went and found the answer. And then some people saying, what should the PSIs be on the pipes? And what's the best kind of glue and the best kind of propellant? And they told me exactly what they wanted. Yeah. And so when I went to create my DVD, I didn't have to go think like, okay, what do these guys want? I said, they told me I need to know answers to all these questions. So I researched and found the answers and I came back and I created exactly what they wanted. So that's kind of the process. Step 1, find a hot market. Step 2 is ask them what they want. And then step 3 is create that and give it to them. And that's really the basics of it. Most people that struggle in this business is because they're doing it out of order. They go to a market that's not hot, that doesn't like buying stuff. Or they find the hot market, but then they just assume that they want the right thing and they just start creating stuff that people don't even want. It's usually one of those mistakes. But if you do it that way, we find a hot market, ask them what they want, and then you create exactly what they asked you for. It's hard to not succeed because they're telling you what they want, and you just have to go and create that. And that's kind of how I look at it.
For the listener, if you listened to episode 49 with Doug Muir, another uber successful entrepreneur that started with absolutely nothing and built several multi-million-dollar companies, same thing. I mean, he talked about asking the customer, what do you want? And, it's interesting because my first company that I started was, I guess it was probably my second or third company when you think about it, but it was a window cleaning company and window cleaning, power washing. We did all kinds of home services and there was a lot of other people in town doing the same thing. And I jumped into the market, did as good or better as job as anybody else, grew it, sold it. It was successful. And then I started another company that, there's no competition, right? There's nobody out there. I got an investor. We built a software and thought we had the next best thing, the best thing since sliced bread. And it failed because I didn't do the exactly what you said first, validating and finding out what they wanted. And it's interesting, Russell, because whenever I finally shut that software down, I just sort of discovered that philosophy of like asking questions and calling the customers and just asking them exploratory calls. And I called about 20 people and they told me exactly what they wanted. So I created a wireframe of a software, showed it to them, and created a little YouTube video screencast and showed it to them. 20 out of 20 said, "When's it done? I'll buy it. I'll buy it tomorrow. Where do I sign up?" So I did it back exactly what you said. I did it backwards. So it's a huge, huge lesson for any entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs out there. So shift gears a little bit, Russell. You have a family. You've got several uber successful businesses. How do you maintain balance? How do you maintain work-life balance?
Balance is hard. And there's a lot of times where you can't be in balance. You can't be successful. And that's why you look at you look at our lives, like in our lives, we have different seasons, right? Like when I was wrestling, like my life was completely imbalanced towards wrestling, right? I didn't do anything else except for wrestling, and that's how I became great. When I met my wife and I fell in love with her, like my balance shifted to her, and that's what made that great. Is I fell in love and my focus was there. When I started my business, I was lucky. I started at a time where I didn't have kids and all these other things happening, and so my balance shifted there. And so, for me, it's like, everyone wants this thing called balance, but it's hard to be balanced to be great at anything. And so I'm not a huge believer in that, but I'm a big believer in like focusing on where things are and putting all like as much of my energy into that as possible to get things where I need, and then shifting it back quickly. And so that's kind of my overall philosophy. But then, after things are working well, like right now in my life, companies are running well. We've got amazing teams of people around me that are helping to push things forward and stuff like that. And so, the biggest thing I do right now in my life is I learned this from Tony Robbins, and I've tried to do it, and I'm not perfect at it by any stretch. My wife will attest to that. But what I try to do is wherever I am, I'm at, I try to be completely present there, right? Like when I'm here in the office working, and I work, 9 or 10 o'clock to about 5 or 6, like kind of that window, like typical working days. But I'm here, like I'm focused, I'm present, I'm getting stuff done the entire time. When I'm at home with my kids, I put things away and I'm present. I'm there as 100% of my focus. And so for me, it's I have my day kind of segmented up, and then wherever I'm at, I try to just be present there as close as 100% as I can. And it's amazing how much more stuff you can get done. I read an article one time that said like the average employee during an 8-hour workday gets like an hour and a half worth of work done, and it's because they're not present there. They're doing a million things. They're checking Facebook. There's all these things are happening, where I try to be as present as I can and trying to move things forward. And it's amazing. Like if you work an actual 8-hour day and you get 8 hours of work done, which very few people do that. You're getting what, most people get done in a week. And if you do 5 or 6 days like that, it's insane. And so I think a big part of it is like, when I'm moving things forward, like I'm there present, moving them forward, and we get a lot more stuff done that way. So there's a couple kind of things.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you there. I get so much done at work now when I'm clear on what I got to get done for the day, and I stay present in the moment at all times. And I actually, I've used something called the Pomodoro technique. It's just a productivity technique. Anybody just Google it and you'll know what it is. But I also do something. I set a timer. If I know if it's a day where I just don't feel focused, I'll set a timer on just Google it, put on a timer on the internet, and it'll beep like every 15 minutes. And it's just a reminder, like get on task,
get back on
task. Yeah, get back to work in case you go down a rabbit hole on the internet somewhere. So, on your podcast, Marketing in Your Car, which is an awesome for any marketers or people, entrepreneurs listening, check out Marketing in Your Car, which is it's a great podcast, short episodes, where Russell just shares his wisdom. It's good stuff. But recently you were talking about waking up at 5 a.m. and more developing a morning routine. And by the way, one thing I thought about, I know you mentioned like it wakes up your wife. So I get up at 5 a.m. every day too. I've been doing it for about a little over a year and a half, I guess now. And when I started doing it, I used to wake my wife up and she'd get angry at me every morning. So now I have a Jawbone, and I set it to vibrate at 5 o'clock every morning. So it just vibrates and it wakes me up that way. So it's a good little tip for you.
I wonder if that would wake me up if I'd sleep through it.
You'd wake up. It rattles you. It's really? when you're dead asleep and you got this thing on your wrist, just like rattle. I guarantee you it'll wake you up. But how's that going? Morning routine? Do you believe in routines and sort of getting into like that peak performance state, that peak competitive state that you got into when you were a wrestler? Do you do the same thing? I know you got like I think you got a cryo thing in your house. You got a float tank. Tell me about that.
Those are coming. The cryo and the float tank will be here by the end of the month, so we're getting those. But cool. No, I'm a big believer in routines. Especially the morning ones. Like it's weird. The mornings that I follow my routine, everything I get way more done the days. And the days I don't, like the whole day seems to always be off. It's interesting. I think if people spend more time like really focusing the gauge initially, it changes the projection of the whole day. And so, it was about 2.5, 3 weeks ago I started doing the 5 a.m. thing. And I'm probably, I'd say 3 to 4 days a week right now I'm doing it. And then the hardest thing I found, I don't know if you feel the same way, the hardest thing for me is to get to bed on time. Like I used to go to bed at 1 or 2 every morning. Now I'm trying to get to bed at like 10 or 11, and like it's like super hard to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're like packing school lunches after we get the kids to bed. We're packing school lunches. I'm packing my lunch. We're like having a conversation with my wife, which I haven't done in 24 hours, so yeah, it's a lot to do.
I know, and my wife's not on the whole 5 a.m. thing yet, so she, she wants to sleep in the morning, so she wants to stay up late with me, and I'm like, so it's just, those little things, but it's interesting. Like, I get right now from 5 till 7, I'm basically working and focusing on those kind of things, and that's when my kids get up, and then from 7 till 9 now I'm getting them ready, doing breakfast, doing the whole morning routine, and then they leave, and then my plan as soon as what's that?
How many kids do you have?
5.
5, yeah, awesome. I got 4, so I'm right behind you.
Yeah, you can try to catch up. It'd be good.
No, thanks. We're good.
Just kidding. No, it's fun. But yeah, that's kind of the thing. And then the one thing, I used to wake up early. I used to wake up at 6, and that's when I would go out to my wrestling room and lift and wrestle and stuff like that. So I'm trying to shift that around where my kids go to school. Then that's when I'll slide that in. But the nice thing I find is that, as the person who's the CEO or the entrepreneur in the company is pushing things forward, the more I get done before everyone else wakes up, when everyone wakes up and they know the direction we're all running, the less I have to do the rest of the day. It's kind of interesting. And so by me getting up 2 hours earlier and working from 5 till 7, like, I'm moving a whole bunch of things forward. I'm handing back off to my team, and then they're able to run. And so I can show up way later to the office. I don't even show up at all, and more stuff gets done than if I just show up at the same time they do, and we're trying to get things moved. And so that's been the biggest impact I've seen. Is just like everything else flows faster when I do that whole earlier morning routine thing.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in waking up early. You get that quiet time, focus time, phone's not ringing, text messages aren't coming in. It's a good time. So Russell, you were a high school state champion, Division I athlete, you start a business, and now you got these multi-million-dollar companies. Like, everything's just success, 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 and that's what we see, right? We see the Russell Brunson who everything he touches turns to gold. Everything works great. Everything's, unicorns and rainbows in your life. And I ask all my guests, what can you share a time with us when you failed, or when you struggled, or when you faced significant adversity, you had self-doubt, and you had to overcome that to get to where you're at now? Yeah.
And one thing that I'd preface that is, it's funny because I had a call with one of our coaching clients yesterday, actually, and they were stressing about, like, what if this thing doesn't work? I'm like, the best thing about things not working on the internet is that nobody knows. I've had people pass like, oh, that thing you did was amazing. Like, we bought it. It was so great. I'm like, yeah, you're the only one that bought that, but nobody else knows. So that's kind of cool things that no one really knows. Like, you got your outside persona. But no, I would say I would love to go, rounds with anyone on failures. I think I probably failed more than almost anyone I know, because we're moving so fast all the time. And I think that I'm okay with failure. A lot of it's because of wrestling. Like, a lot of people, when they fail, like, they take it so personally, they can't, like, it's hard for them to progress, Whereas for me, like, I was never like the undefeated wrestler. Like, I would lose, and then I would figure out how to beat the guy the next time, and I would lose, and I kept getting incrementally better every match, every single thing, and luckily peaked at the right times to hit a lot of my goals. And then for business, same thing. Like, I fail. For me, it's not like, oh, like this devastating thing. It's just like, okay, like, what are the adjustments we need to make? Like, that guy hit me in a head throw and almost pinned me. Like, what do I got to do to change different this time, right? And so for me, that's kind of how I look at things. But definitely the biggest failure I've ever had. I don't talk about it too often, but we had probably 6 years ago, we built up my company, and at the time we had about 100 employees here in Boise. We had 60 salespeople, 20 coaches, and about 20 marketers who were driving leads for this company we had built. And from the outside, it looked amazing, right? Like, all the, had front end things that we were selling high-end coaching, we had seminars. Like, it was a machine, and it worked really, really good. The problem is, like, the margins were really paper thin. And so, like, month by month, like, it worked, but, like, if something bad happened, like, we could have been in big trouble. And in January that year, I think it was like January 16th or something, for some reason, we had, I think, 14 merchant accounts all in the same bank. And that day, all of them got turned off. Ouch. And I remember, like, my tech guy coming in and be like, hey, all of our recurring billings are failing. Wow. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then a couple of my sales guys came up and said, hey, we're trying to run a card and it's failing. What's happening? And I was like, huh. So I tried to call the merchant account company, and what I didn't realize at the time, Visa and MasterCard were putting a lot of pressure down on our merchants, and the bank that we were using got a lot of pressure from just their portfolio of clients. And so that day, there was like over 300 people they just shut off. And it was basically like, you were guilty till proven innocent. And it took me about 2 days to get on the phone with anybody. And finally got on the phone. They're like, yeah, well, like, prove that you're not a bad guy. I was like, wow. how do I prove that? I'm like, well, so
Call my mom.
yeah, my mom thinks I'm great. Ask yeah. And so we had to just put together a campaign to prove that we weren't bad and we were doing things the right way. And it took us about a week to get that all put together and submit it to them. They had to do the reviews, and we're 2 weeks in and finally okay, you convinced us you're good guys, and they turned all of our stuff back on. But 2 weeks of that cash flow coming in, we got 100 employees, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of people freaking out. And so we had people leaving, we had just a whole bunch of scary things. And so that happened. And so as soon as they were back on, hey guys, we're back in business. So we did this big rollout just to try to get some new, bunch of cash in really quick. And the other thing you think about, with 100 employees, we had a 20,000 square foot building. Our payroll and we're looking at $300,000-$400,000 a month just to cover the overhead. Wow. And so it's just crazy. So we get merch accounts turned back on. We do a big launch. We make $250,000 or so. And I'm like, hey guys, we got money now to cover payroll. We're good. But then the money never came in. I'm like, why is the money not coming in? I'm kind of freaking out. So I call the merchant account, and they looked at oh, well, the reason why money's not being deposited in your account is you're on 100% reserve. I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Why am I at 100% reserve? And they're like, well, I don't know. Your account's tagged as that. So I'm like, okay, well, I have to get the money so I can pay for fulfillment so that whatever. They're like, okay, well, we'll turn it down to 10%. But all the money you processed in the last 2 weeks, we're going to keep it in a reserve for 6 months. Oh, and I was like, are you kidding me? And so I go back to my team hey, that $250,000 we just made to cover payroll, we get it in 6 months from now. So I'll pay you guys then, right? Yeah, that doesn't go very well with people. So it's kind of so we had that, and then we try to open another merchant account, and then we processed too much money too fast. So that got shut down and froze for another 180 days. And the whole year was it was just horrible. So, every week I'd have to come in and fire 10 new people, which, most of the people who worked for me were my friends or family members, or they'd become friends. We were still a small enough company that we hung out with each other, and I knew their kids, and it was just it was hard. It was every single week for a year that was happening. It's the point where at the end of the year, we had no more money left in the bank account. We couldn't survive. And it was, I didn't know what to do. I was scared, and it was this horrible thing. And about that time, I got a call from my dad, who was helping look at my books. And he said, hey, I got really bad news. For some reason, your bookkeeper hasn't paid payroll taxes in the last year. And you owe the government, I can't remember, it was $350,000. And he's like, just, if you don't pay payroll tax, that's not they slap you with a fine. They put you in jail. And so you need to come up with $350,000 as soon as humanly possible.
Holy cow.
And I was broke. Every penny I'd ever earned had been given back, trying to keep the doors open. And I didn't know what to do. And so I went in, and at that time we still had a sales team of probably, 20 or so people. And they got a bunch of fear and anxiety. And I walked in it was the next day I walked in the office, and all 20 of them were gone. The whole team had quit.
Oh man.
So I'm sales team's gone. I owe the government this money. I don't know what to do. We had this huge office building. And so we left the building behind, hoping and praying we wouldn't get sued by because of our lease. We moved into this little tiny building and tried to figure out we got to figure out some way to survive. And I remember I talked about this in the .com Secrets book a little bit, but I remember waking up almost every morning wishing that I had a boss so I could get fired. I was
yeah,
how great would that be to be able to walk away from this? But I was if I quit, two things will happen. First off, we had sold a whole bunch of coaching that we had outstanding liabilities on. I had to fulfill on coaching. If I quit, I'd ruin my name. And if I quit, I'd probably end up in jail. And I was just I can't quit. I have to keep moving forward. And I wish I could tell you the next day we figured out the magic key and it all worked, but it didn't. It was another 6 or 7 months of grinding and trying to figure things out and making just enough money to keep the doors open. And about that time, one of my friends had started doing what was probably one of the first ever automated webinars. And he showed me the model and said, hey man, this is working really good for us. You should try it out. And I said, okay. And I put all my chips in this basket. We spent 30 days writing a webinar pitch and putting up this funnel and building this whole thing out. And we rolled it out. And within 90 days, we'd made $1 million. We paid off the IRS,
wow.
paid off our back debts, and we were back to ground zero. And we're now we can start progressing again. And that was it. And
holy cow.
It was almost 2 years of just pain.
Insane.
So
yeah, sleepless nights, I bet, huh?
Oh yeah, a lot of sleepless nights. And but then when we got back to ground zero, I don't know, I can't tell you the feeling of relief that came through us and came through me. And then the coolest thing was that when that was done, then it was we had this chance to figure out what do we want to be when we grow up? We can do anything now. We felt I was out of bondage, and so that's when we got to start creating again, right? And like, what do we want to create? What do we want to do? And that's when we come out with the supplement. We came out with a bunch of other fun, businesses we were trying out. And on the back of that is where ClickFunnels came from. It was an idea for a project we had that we put together that has become the biggest thing we've ever done. And, but that came out of a spot of like, out of that fear. So, for entrepreneurs who are struggling or who have struggled in the past, like I relate to that so well. And I know that when you get back to a point of like certainty and like feeling good, it gives you that platform you need to be able to scale and launch the next thing you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Holy man. What a story.
I should make a movie out of it someday. It would make everyone want to cry. It made me want to cry.
Yeah. I mean, again, we look at you and we go, just success the whole way through. And we don't see that. We don't see that struggle, that adversity, that setback. And I talk about that. I did a TEDx talk and most of it was about my failures in my journey to become a Division I All-American. But it was, and I talk about failure is a necessary step on the path to success. Like you fail. I mean, you fail. When you're an athlete, you learn that because you're guaranteed to fail as an athlete. In whatever sport, wrestling or otherwise, you're guaranteed to fail along the way. And it's the same way in life. You're going to struggle. You're going to fail. You're going to get injured. You're going to face setbacks. You're going to have the government come down on you for silly things like that and just crush your business. And you got to keep pushing forward. And you didn't quit. You didn't fold. You found success on the other side. Holy cow. Amazing.
Yeah.
So my listeners like to get actionable items out of these. So can you offer one sort of thought, one action that you can recommend that the listener can take in the next, say 24 to 48 hours to start moving toward their goals, to start, creating the success in their life that they really want?
Definitely. So in my community, we have this concept that we call funnel hacking. And it's all about like figuring out what's working, right? I told you earlier, like the first key is finding a hot market, right? So let's say you want to start a business, and let's say I know I'm going to be in the wrestling market or the golf market or the weight loss or the whatever you pick. Like this is the business I want to have. The first step then is to go find somebody else who's crushing it in that, right? Like when I started wrestling, I remember my first my 8th grade year of wrestling, I was horrible. I remember my dad like, I don't know if he ever told me that, but like, wow, you're really not good. And so like, what we did is we found there was a kid in my high school who was a 3-time state champion. That was his senior year, and he was going to be a 3-timer. And so my dad and I would go to all the matches, and he would film, this guy's name was Matt Wood, would film Matt wrestling, and we'd watch it. And Matt was like the king at cheap tilts and like all these things. And so when we would film it, my dad and I would go home and we'd drill it over and over and over and over and over again. And if you look at like, in my wrestling world, which, I'm not like a famous wrestler, but like in my world, I was famous for the cheap tilt. Like I turned everyone, like there's no one I can't turn in cheap tilt. Like that is my move. And it's because when I was 8th grade, I used to watch films of Matt Wood doing cheap tilt after cheap tilt like over and over and over again. Right. And so I funnel hacked Matt. Like I saw what he had that was working and we modeled it. And so same thing is true with business. Like if I know, I want to launch a business that's going to be in the financial, let's say I'm going to start my own financial newsletter. I'm going to go find who are the people right now who have successful financial newsletters, and then we have to funnel hack them. And what funnel hacking means is you have to go to the website, and then you've got to do what every good entrepreneur has to become good at doing. You got to actually pull your credit card out of your wallet, and you got to buy their thing. Because you got to see, because like if you look at someone's website, you see the outside, you see, oh, he's selling the newsletter for $30 a month. But that's like the tip of the iceberg, because that only works because of a whole bunch of other things happening behind the scenes. Like after you buy that $30 a month thing, then what's the upsell? What's the downsell? What are the email sequences that are coming out? Where's the traffic coming from to get there? And so the actionable thing I would say is find someone who's got the business of your dreams, and you got to funnel hack them. You got to get deep into them. You got to buy what they have. You got to look at everything, take pictures and screenshots of every single page, because then you're going to know exactly what you need to do to create. And just like me, when I funnel hacked Matt Wood and I saw how to do cheap tilt and we learned it, we mastered it, I became amazing at it. And same thing with this. Like when I go into new businesses, like when we launched our supplement, it wasn't me just thinking, okay, I'm going to put up a website and sell a supplement. And I found people who are doing $3, $4, $5 million a month selling supplements. I bought their stuff and I modeled it. If you look at my funnels versus theirs, I didn't copy anything, but structurally they're very similar. I modeled their look, their feel, their price points, their upsell sequences, everything, because these guys had proven that they'd worked. They'd spent millions of dollars testing these things. And so our goal is to figure out what people are already doing that works, and then we can model it. And so that'd be the biggest takeaway that someone can do today is do that. And so like for me, if you're just beginning, like the easiest place is to go to clickbank.com. At the top, there's a tab that says affiliate marketplace. And you click on that, and there's over 100,000 sales funnels from every business you can dream of. There's chicken coop, how to make your own chicken coop, how to lose weight, how to garden, how to fish, how to, like, everything is in there. Find someone in there who's doing what you want to do, and then funnel hack them, buy their product to see what the process is. And that's where I would begin at.
Yeah. And they should funnel hack you.
Yeah, might as well.
I mean, that's, you know, I've gone through your funnel and it's amazing. And if you don't know what a funnel is, folks, check it out. Follow Russell. Go to his website. Go to .com secrets. Go to clickfunnels.com and check out what he's doing. But last question: if you could sit down with your 20-year-old self and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
You know, I definitely, I would tell myself that like so many of us focus on like, what's the best product to sell? What's the best, the best thing, whatever. I have a story that I'll tell real quick and then I'll kind of come back to that. But I had a friend, he was an 18-year-old kid, just graduated high school. He was, between going to college, and he was trying to get a job, and he couldn't get a job anywhere. He tried a whole bunch of places, couldn't get one. And so finally he gave up and said, I'm just going to go and work for free and see what happens. So he went to the local mall and he walked into a clothing store that was like his dream job. Like, I would love to work here. And he walked in and he started folding clothes. He's folding clothes and got them all done. And then he walked up to the manager and was like, hey, can I help with anything else? And he's like, no, we're good. Thanks, man. He's like, all right, see you later. And he left. Next day he comes back in, starts folding clothes, putting things on a hanger, starts sweeping up. And the manager comes back like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I just thought I got nothing else to do. Thought I'd come help you guys. I think your store is cool. I'd love to work here. So might as well come work for free. And the guy's like, well, do you want a job? And he's like, yeah, I would love a job. And he got a job. Right. And I think that, like, that's the mindset. Like, all of us feel like we're entitled for some reason. We're not. Like, none of us are entitled to anything. And so we've got to prove ourselves. Right. And we know that in sports, we know in wrestling, the only way I can be on the starting team is I've got to beat the guy in front of me, whatever that is. Like, you got to prove yourself. And so I would say to my 20-year-old self is like, look, quit trying to figure out what you're going to sell, how you're going to sell it. Like, pick like a product or whatever that is, and then go out there and work for free for someone. Go and try it out or test it out. And if that thing gets that person a result, then you've got something now that you can sell, right? So let's just say I was going to join a network marketing program. Like, instead of buying the pills and potions or trying to pitch it to my friends and family, I would buy a whole bunch of them. I'd give them to everybody I know for free and be like, look, try this stuff. If you like it, let me know. I want to know what result you get from it. And I would give them a result first. And if they get a good result, then I would capture that result. I'd film it or whatever and capture that result. And that will become the sales tool that will build my company for me. If I was going to go and launch a coaching program, for example. In fact, when I launched my coaching program, this is what I did. The first thing I did is I found someone that would be like my dream client, and I called him up and I said, hey man, can I work for free? And he was like, sure, if you want to work for free. So I went out there, worked for free for him, and I transformed their business. And after I did that, he made a video talking about the experience. I used that video to launch my coaching program that currently does about $2.5 million a year in sales. And it wasn't me going out there and like trying to convince people I'm the best coach in the world. It was me going out there and working for free, showing people the results I can get them, and then taking that and leveraging it to get the rest of the clients I want. And so my 20-year-old self, I would say, look, figure out what path you want to go on, whatever that is, and then go work for free. And if you do that, the results that come from you proving yourself and earning it will be the fuel that does everything else you want. It will help you achieve everything else you want in life.
Man, what a simple message. Hustle. Get out there and work and don't be entitled. Love it. Great message, Russell. So how can the listener find you, follow you? Where do we go to get your stuff and check out what you're doing?
Yeah. The easiest place, if you go to .comsecretsbook.com, you can get a free copy of my book. And I would just recommend, if you do that, go and buy slowly, like funnel hack me. Like, I spent 6 months planning and scheming out that funnel, and it works. But you get a free book, but then watch the sales process. Like, that'll be worth the $7.95 you pay for shipping is just watching what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And the second place, if you want the tool that almost every entrepreneur in our market right now is using to grow their businesses and build their sales funnels, we have a tool called ClickFunnels, and you'll get a free 2-week trial at clickfunnels.com. And that's kind of it.
Amazing. Russell, this is gold. Awesome stuff. Great stories, great advice. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, no worries, man. Appreciate you having me. It's fun to talk about business and wrestling. That doesn't happen very often in the same conversation.
Yeah, no kidding. And for the listener, JimHarshawJr.com/50. That's JimHarshawJr.com/50. I'll have the download, the action plan from this episode. You can just get all the good stuff that Russell just shared, all the links and all the tips and all the tactics and everything he just shared. So and until next time, just like when you were an athlete, take the time to get clear on your goals and embrace failure as a stepping stone on your path to success.